this month, I wanted to talk about something a little bit fun, popsicles. And ice cream, frozen treats, anything like that can be extremely challenging to do on your own when you're working as a solo stylist photographer. So I thought I would walk through some of the tips. I shot it in my kitchen, and I'll explain some more about that in a minute. You want to have your prep set up. You want your prop set, your supporting prop set. You want your blackboards where you believe they need to be. You want your ladder or whatever you're using if you're taking overhead shots to get over the photo. You want it there with you. Needless to say, you want your camera there ready to go. And if you're on a tripod, you want all that set up. And then you want to take some test shots of the set before you put the actual frozen subject on it. When it comes to actual treats on what you're photographing your hero, the best way that I found to do it, and this is with ice cream as well, is that take a metal baking sheet pan, freeze the tray, take what you're going to use. Obviously, if it is homemade, it'll be ready to go. But if you're using store-bought, which I'm going to do in this example for you, you're going to unwrap that. Once the tray is frozen, put those on the tray and then freeze them with the tray on it till you're ready to put them on set. If you have any other props, you're going to see here in a second when I show you examples that I'm using a plate. I do put ice on my plate, but you can chill the plates or the boards or whatever you're using as well. That will help. And you always want to have all your tools close by. You don't want to have to run away from set, which I'm really bad at, to get things. You want to have them there. And to work close to the freezer, if that's impossible, then work close to a cooler where things are. Use a portable cooler to take those things with you to wherever you are photographing the subject. That's just general things to keep in mind. And I'm going to show you as we go through this how I did all that. Because this training, I wanted it to be just a little bit different. I want to take you from the idea that I had. So we're going to talk about the ideas and generating ideas. It's the top question that everyone always asks is, how do you come up with ideas? And the thing is I just give them the time they need to develop. Sometimes we just need time to think on these things. And for this idea, I decided I could have done fruit. We could have done all kinds of things. And I decided to choose, I chose chocolate. And so I have some fudge popsicles. That's what we're going to be focused on. But as you go through this with me, think about the fact that this could be incorporated with a fruit pop with strawberries. It could be something that is an ice cream sandwich and you incorporate milk in the set. So think about that as we go along. This can be applied to a lot of different things. So basically, I brainstormed all the chocolate items that I had on hand. Or I could have gone and shopped for them, but I thought about all those things that I could use in this shot. And then I thought through my color ideas. I know I'm going to have brown, obviously, and I really like brown with blue, so I went that direction. And then I selected the surfaces and the props based on that idea. So this is what I have. When I gathered my tools and my supplies, I am using this terrazzo surface. This is Hope by Poppy Bee Surfaces. And honestly, I don't use this one that much, and I need to use it more, but it had that summery look to me. So summery, but then also something that I could add mood to, which is my style. I got the larger plate. My idea is that the popsicles are going to go on that. And then I just grabbed some other blue things that I had to hold these other ingredients as supporting props. So I've got some baker's chocolate out of my pantry, some leftover milk and semi-sweet chocolate chips. I've got some cocoa powder. And then I just picked a selection of blue linens ranging from a light to medium to dark. And then I've got I pick up things as I go along. This was from a linen maker. It's a coaster. It's just a piece of linen. As you're shopping, whenever you're out and about, I think I got this actually at a conference, just think about those things you can pick up that are easy to store to have in your collection. Now, after I started to get things plating, I decided that I wanted to add a spoon to the cocoa powder. And so I went and grabbed gold, thinking I was going to use gold. You'll see later that I ended up with silver, so I added those to the prop selection. So this on the left is the set that I started with, that I came up with, pretty much went all the way through with. I decided to shoot it in my kitchen. If you follow me on Instagram, you know we have a lot of yard work going on right now. So that's why that background is so pretty. We've got the boards. I'm using black boards here because I have light coming from all directions in this particular spot in my dining room, which my kitchen is right back here, freezer's right over here. So I was nice and close. So I have it all set up here, and I wanted to block the light from this direction and this direction and have it only coming from here. So I'm using blackboards to do that. Now, I told you freeze the tray, then unwrap whatever you're photographing. These are the fudge popsicles, and then put those on the tray and put it back in the freezer till you're ready to use. So that's what I did here. You can already see, even though everything was cold, just even putting them on there, they already started to melt with contact with that metal. And another thing that I want to add is you might, depending on what you're working with, you might want to consider putting parchment paper down. I did not. And whenever I got ready to pull these off, they had stuck a little bit because they melted and refreezed. They were easy to get off with a metal spatula, but just so there's no huge mishaps, parchment paper might have been better to keep them from sticking. Okay, so I have that set, and now I'm going to take some test shots. Now, if you may have seen, like a lot of photographers, they will put a faux subject in there, like on the plate. I could have put a piece of dark chocolate here that would be the same color. I don't do this a lot unless I'm trying to work really quickly. For myself, working alone, I just don't find it necessary. So I didn't use anything in the spot. I just kind of focused the camera on the edge here where it would catch it and focus, knowing that the darker subjects kind of darken the set just a little bit once it gets on there. But I started here, I went here, still a little too dark to me. This is way too light. And I came back to here, knowing when I'm photographing the brown on this plate, it's probably going to darken things just a little bit. So I left it here, which if you're interested, 1/50th of a second, f-stop of 4.0, ISO of 400, and I am using my 24-105 lens, which is what I use most often. Okay, so we have it ready to go here, and I've gotten the ice. The popsicles still are not out of the freezer, but I've gone and put the ice on the plate. And when I was doing the test shots, I kind of had a space here, and I felt like too much light was coming in, so I really squared this off. And I'd use this for the overhead shots, and I'm going to show you how I had to kind of move it for the 45-degree angle shots that I took. But this is what we have to get started. I lay the popsicles down, and I just start working with them. When we're doing this kind of photography, any type of food photography, everyone always wonders how you got to this point, and it's just playing around with it. I moved these probably 10 to 15 times, just moving them around, getting them right, taking shots as I work. Of course, I'm working quickly because it's frozen, but I really like how things change with time. So with these, they get a little more frosty, they have a little more detail, and then you'll see in the photos towards the end, they start to melt a little bit. So these were the overhead shots that I ended up with some other creative variations.